Ever think about those apps you loved that just tanked after a redesign?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what happened there?
Yeah.
Turns out that's where a good product manager could have really made a difference.
Interesting.
And that's actually what we're diving into today. And it seems like you're really interested in kind of getting a deeper understanding of this role.
Yeah.
Maybe even picturing yourself in the driver's seat of product development.
That's a fascinating starting point, I think.
Yeah.
So many people use apps and websites every day,
Right.
but they never stop to think about the people behind the scenes.
Right.
Who are making those experiences happen.
It's like the wizard behind the curtain.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's pull back that curtain today
Okay.
and break down about the world of product management,
All right.
focusing especially on those specialized roles and the kind of skills you need to thrive in this space.
Sounds good to me.
First things first,
Yeah.
let's tackle the big question.
Okay.
What does a product manager actually do? I think a lot of people hear the term
Right.
and assume it's just a bunch of meetings and spreadsheets.
It's definitely not all glamorous, that's for sure.
Right.
But it's also much more dynamic than people might think.
Right.
It's not just about being a mini CEO, as some might simplify it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love how it emphasizes the problem-solving, customer champion, and influencer aspects.
Uh-huh.
They really stressed that a product manager needs to wear many hats.
Absolutely. Think of a product manager as a conductor of an orchestra. They're not playing every instrument,
Right.
but they're responsible for bringing all the different parts together
Okay.
to create a beautiful symphony.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
So they're working with engineers, designers, marketers, sales teams, even executives,
Yeah.
all with the goal of creating a product that users will love.
And that's what's so fascinating about this role.
Right.
It's at the intersection of business technology and user experience.
Right.
A product manager needs to understand all three of those worlds
Wow.
and be able to translate between them.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
It was pretty clear that it's not just about tech, right?
Right.
I mean, I'm pretty tech savvy,
Uh-huh.
but coding isn't exactly my forte.
And you don't necessarily need to be coding to be a successful product manager,
Okay.
though a certain level of technical understanding is important,
Right.
especially for certain specialized roles.
Okay.
But this really stresses a diverse set of skills,
Yeah.
some of which might surprise you.
Let's break down a few of those.
Okay.
The one that jumped out at me right away was communication.
Yeah.
That seems pretty obvious.
Uh-huh.
But how crucial this is for product managers.
Think about it this way. A product manager is the central hub of communication
Right.
for the entire product development process.
Right.
They're constantly interacting with people from all different backgrounds
Right.
and with different levels of technical expertise.
So 1 minute you might be explaining complex technical details
Yeah.
to a software engineer,
Uh-huh.
and the next minute you're pitching a new feature
Right.
to a room full of executives.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
that's why the need to be adaptable
Okay.
in your communication style. You
Wow.
need to be able to speak everyone's language
Okay.
and tailor your message accordingly.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
What about problem solving?
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like every job requires some level of problem solving.
Of course.
But it sounds like for a product manager, it's really baked into the role.
Absolutely. But what's interesting is how this goes beyond just individual problem solving.
Okay.
It emphasizes the collaborative aspect.
Okay.
A good product manager doesn't just come up with solutions in a vacuum. They're bringing everyone together to brainstorm
Okay.
and come up with the best possible solution.
So they're like the facilitator of that process,
Yeah,
drawing on everyone's strengths and expertise.
exactly.
That actually sounds kind of fun.
It can be, especially when you have a team that's really clicking
Right.
and everyone is working together towards a common goal.
Yeah.
But problem solving in this role also often involves thinking on your feet.
Oh, okay.
Unexpected challenges pop up all the time,
Right.
and you need to be able to adapt and adjust course quickly.
It's like that saying, no battle plan survives contact with the enemy.
Right.
Except in this case, the enemy might be a sudden technical issue,
Yeah.
or a shift in user behavior,
Mm-hmm.
or even a change in the market.
Exactly. And that brings us to another crucial skill.
Okay.
Strategic thinking.
Okay.
You can't just be reacting to things as they come up.
Right.
You need to be able to see the bigger picture
Okay.
and make decisions that align with the long-term vision for the product.
Okay, so help me connect the dots here.
Sure.
How does strategic thinking actually play out
Yeah.
in the day-to-day life of a product manager?
Imagine you're building a house.
Okay.
You wouldn't just start laying bricks without a blueprint, right?
You'd need to know where the bathroom is going, at least.
Exactly. You need to know what you're building,
Right.
why you're building it,
Right.
and how all the different pieces are going to fit together.
Okay.
Strategic thinking for a product manager is like that blueprint.
Oh, yeah.
They need to be able to prioritize initiatives,
Okay.
allocate resources effectively,
Uh-huh.
and make sure those day-to-day decisions are driving towards the overall business goals.
So it's not just about checking things off a list.
Right.
It's about understanding how those tasks contribute to the bigger picture.
Exactly. And that requires a lot of foresight, right?
Yeah.
Being able to anticipate challenges and opportunities
Okay.
before they even arise.
So a product manager who's good at strategic thinking is always looking ahead, trying to anticipate market trends, understand user needs, and make sure the product is positioned for success in the long run.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got communication,
Yeah.
problem solving, and strategic thinking as key skills for product managers.
Yeah.
What else?
Next up is a skill that I think is often overlooked,
Okay.
but it's absolutely essential.
Okay.
User empathy.
This is where the heart of product management comes in.
You got it.
Yeah.
It's not enough to build a product that's technically sound
Okay.
or meets business objectives.
Right.
You have to build a product that people actually want to use,
Right.
that solves a real problem for them,
Right.
and that makes their lives better in some way.
So a product manager with strong user empathy is really acting as the voice of the customer
Exactly.
throughout the entire development process.
They're constantly asking questions like,
Right.
what are the users' pain points? What are their goals? How can we make this experience as seamless and enjoyable as possible?
And how does someone develop that user empathy?
Yeah.
I mean, is it something you're just born with?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Some practical tips.
Okay. Like what?
Things like conducting user interviews,
Okay.
spending time observing users interacting with the product,
Uh-huh.
even temporarily immersing yourself in customer support roles.
Wow, those are great ideas.
Yeah.
It really highlights how important it is to step outside your own assumptions and try to see the product through the eyes of the user.
And that can be really challenging,
Right.
especially when you're so close to the product yourself.
Right.
It's easy to get caught up in the details
Yeah.
and lose sight of the user's perspective.
Right.
That's why consciously cultivating that user empathy is so important
Yeah.
for a successful product manager.
All right, let's move on to another skill
What?
that I found particularly interesting.
Right.
Data-driven decision-making. Is this where the science part of product management comes in?
It definitely is.
Okay.
You're constantly relying on data to validate your assumptions,
Okay.
track how the product is performing,
Right.
and make informed decisions.
Okay.
Intuition and gut feelings can be helpful,
Uh-huh.
but in today's fast-paced, data-rich environment,
Right.
objective data is essential.
So you're saying this isn't a role where you can just go with your gut feeling.
Right.
You need to be able to back up your decisions with hard numbers.
Exactly. And you need to know which numbers actually matter.
Okay.
Learning tools like Excel SQL
Uh-huh.
and product analytics platforms to analyze this data effectively.
Okay.
It's not just about collecting data.
Right.
It's about being able to interpret it, identify trends,
Uh-huh.
and draw meaningful conclusions.
So if I'm hearing you correctly,
Yeah.
a good product manager needs to be comfortable with both the qualitative data
Uh-huh.
that comes from user research
Yeah.
and the quantitative data that comes from things like website analytics.
You nailed it.
Okay.
It's about using both sides of your brain,
Yeah.
combining that creative, empathetic side
Oh.
with the analytical, data-driven side.
Okay. I'm starting to get a real feel for the complexity of this role.
Yeah.
And there are a few more skills that I think are worth exploring.
Let's keep going. I think the next one might surprise you.
All right. Hit me with it. What's next on the list?
Leadership without authority.
Now, that's an interesting one.
Yeah.
What does that even mean in the context of product management?
Think about it.
Right.
A product manager often doesn't have direct managerial power over the people they're working with.
Right.
They're not the boss of the engineers, the designers, or the marketing team.
Right.
Yet they need to be able to guide and inspire those teams
Okay.
to get everyone moving in the same direction towards a shared goal.
So it's about influence rather than command.
Exactly.
You're not telling people what to do.
Right.
You're convincing them, motivating them,
Uh-huh.
and creating a collaborative environment where everyone feels ownership over the product.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
And how crucial this is.
Right?
Especially since product managers are often working across so many different departments and teams.
Right.
You need to be able to build trust, negotiate effectively,
Okay.
and become a facilitator rather than a dictator.
This is making me think about those project management courses I've seen online.
Yeah.
Do you think those could be helpful for someone interested in a product management role?
Absolutely. Many of the skills covered in those courses,
Yeah.
like communication, teamwork, and conflict resolution,
Right.
are directly applicable to the work of a product manager.
Okay, so note to self-brush up on those project management skills.
Yeah, good idea.
What's next on our list of essential product manager skills?
It might seem obvious,
Okay.
but it's worth emphasizing.
Okay.
Prioritization.
Oh.
With so many competing demands and limited resources,
Right.
a good product manager needs to constantly evaluate
Uh-huh.
what will deliver the most value in the shortest amount of time.
I imagine that involves a lot of tough decisions, right?
Absolutely.
Like having to say no to good ideas
Yeah,
because they're just not the most important thing to focus on at that moment.
exactly. And it's not just about gut feeling.
Right.
It's about having a structured approach to evaluating and ranking
Okay.
different features or initiatives,
Okay.
learning different prioritization frameworks
Okay.
like RICE and Moscow.
I've heard of those,
Okay.
but I haven't really dived into them.
Yeah.
Would you say those are pretty essential?
They can be incredibly helpful tools.
Okay.
They provide a way to analyze things objectively,
Okay.
taking some of the subjectivity and emotion out of those tough decisions.
Uh-huh.
They also provide a common language
Oh.
that everyone on the team can understand when discussing priorities.
That makes sense. A shared framework could definitely help avoid misunderstandings.
Right.
And keep everyone on the same page.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move on to a skill
Okay.
that I'm guessing might intimidate some people.
All right.
Technical understanding.
Yeah.
I can imagine people who don't have a technical background
Uh-huh.
feeling like this is a barrier to entry for them.
And it's true that you do need a certain level of technical knowledge to be a successful product manager.
Okay.
But the good news is that you don't need to be a software engineer.
Okay, so what level of technical knowledge is expected
Yeah.
enough to write code?
Not quite that deep,
Okay.
but you do need to have a grasp of how software is built.
Okay, right.
You need enough technical knowledge to communicate effectively with engineers,
Okay.
understand the technical constraints of your product,
Okay.
and make informed decisions about its development.
So you're saying you need to be able to speak their language?
Yeah.
At least to some degree.
To some degree. Yeah.
Enough to have intelligent conversations about the technical aspects of the product.
Precisely. You don't need to be writing code,
Okay.
but you do need to grasp the fundamentals.
Right.
And luckily, there are tons of resources available nowadays
Okay.
to help you get up to speed.
Right.
Taking basic courses in computer science or web development.
Okay. So even if someone doesn't have a formal technical background,
Yeah.
they can still develop the necessary skills
Exactly.
to be successful in this role.
Huh.
That's encouraging.
Good.
What else is on our list?
Another one that I think is crucial,
Okay.
especially in today's rapidly evolving tech landscape,
Yeah.
is market awareness.
Okay. I can see why that would be important.
Yeah.
A product manager needs to know what's happening in the world, right?
Right.
What the competitors are doing, what new technologies are emerging.
Think of it like navigating a ship.
Okay.
You need to know the currents, the obstacles, and where other ships are headed
Yeah.
to chart your own course effectively.
Right.
A product manager who's plugged into the market can spot opportunities that others miss
Right.
and avoid being blindsided by sudden changes.
So you're constantly scanning the horizon,
Yeah.
looking for potential threats and opportunities.
Exactly.
And how do you do that in practice?
Yeah.
Just reading tech blogs and industry news?
That's a good start.
Okay.
But a few other strategies as well.
Like what?
Attending conferences,
Okay.
networking with people in the industry,
Mm-hmm.
even regularly talking to your sales teams
Okay.
to get their insights on what customers are asking for.
All right. So it's about actively seeking out information,
Yeah,
making it a habit to stay informed about what's happening in your industry.
exactly.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
We're down to our last skill on the list.
It's a big one,
Oh.
especially in a field as dynamic and unpredictable as product management. Adaptability.
I feel like that's a buzzword that gets thrown around a lot these days.
It is.
Everyone's looking for adaptable employees.
Right.
But what does it actually mean in the context of this role?
Well, as you can imagine, things rarely go exactly according to plan
Right.
in the world of product development.
Mm-hmm.
You might encounter unexpected technical challenges,
Right?
changing user needs, or even shifts in the market
Yeah.
that require you to adjust your approach.
So you need to be able to roll with the punches
Yeah.
and pivot when necessary.
Exactly.
Not get too attached to your initial plans.
Right.
Because they're likely to change 100 times before you reach the finish line.
Exactly. Being adaptable means being open to feedback,
Okay.
learning from the mistakes,
Yeah.
and constantly reevaluating your priorities and strategies.
Okay.
It's really more of a mindset than a specific skill set.
It's that growth mindset we hear so much about.
Exactly.
That willingness to embrace change and step outside of your comfort zone.
You got it. And that's what makes this field so exciting.
Yeah.
It's constantly evolving. There's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
And you never know what challenges or opportunities are going to come your way next.
So we've covered 10 essential skills for product managers.
We have.
And it's clear that it's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Right.
There are several specialized product manager roles.
Yeah.
And it seems like certain skills might be more important depending on the specialization.
You're absolutely right.
Okay.
Let's dive into the world of specialized product managers.
Okay.
It's like walking into a candy store.
All right.
So many flavors to choose from.
My sweet tooth is ready.
The deep diving highlights several specialized product manager roles.
Okay.
And it's fascinating to see how those core skills we just discussed get emphasized differently depending on the specialization.
Okay, let's hear about some of these specialized roles.
Right.
And what makes them unique.
One that immediately jumps out.
Especially since it seems to be a key focus and aligns with your interest.
Okay.
Is the technical product manager, or TPM.
Perfect.
Definitely.
I've heard the term TPM thrown around.
Yeah.
But I'm still a bit fuzzy on what actually sets them apart
Oh.
from a more general product manager.
Think of it this way.
Okay.
If a regular product manager is a bilingual expert,
Okay.
fluent in both the language of business
Okay.
and the language of user needs,
Yeah.
then a TPM is trilingual.
Okay.
They've got that extra layer of fluency in the language of technology.
So they're not just understanding the what and the why of a product.
Right.
They're also deeply involved in the how.
Exactly. They act as a bridge between the business side and the engineering side of product development.
Okay.
That means they need to be deeply involved in the technical aspects,
Right.
making sure the product is not just meeting business goals,
Right.
but is also feasible from a technical standpoint.
Yeah. And aligned with the overall technical vision.
So they're the ones thinking about things like scalability,
Yeah.
making sure the product can handle a growing number of users,
Mm-hmm.
and architecture, ensuring the underlying systems are robust and well-designed.
Spot on. API design, cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
Complex technical dependencies.
Right.
That's where a TPM really shines.
Okay.
They're the ones who can translate those complex technical concepts into something everyone can understand, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Taking those high-level business goals
Right.
and breaking them down into actionable technical requirements.
I'm starting to see why those communication and technical understanding skills are so crucial for a TPM.
Absolutely. And don't forget about problem solving.
Right.
A TPM often finds themselves in the thick of it. When technical challenges arise,
Right.
think of them as the first responders.
Okay.
When a system goes down or a bug throws everything off track.
So they need to be able to stay calm under pressure,
Yeah.
think critically, and work collaboratively with the engineering team to find solutions.
You got it now. A few other specializations that are worth touching on.
Okay.
For example, growth product managers,
Okay.
platform product managers, and
Yeah.
even FinTech product managers.
Okay, let's do a quick tour of those other specializations.
Right.
What's the deal with growth product managers?
Yeah.
Are they like the marketing gurus of the product world?
They definitely have a strong marketing bent,
Okay.
but it goes beyond just marketing. A growth product manager is laser focused on growth.
Okay.
Their world revolves around customer acquisition.
Yeah.
How do we get more people using our product retention?
Okay.
How do we keep those users coming back for more?
Right.
And monetization?
Okay.
How do we turn those users into paying customers?
So lots of A/B testing, experimenting with different features and messaging
Yeah,
to see what resonates with users,
exactly.
analyzing funnels,
Yeah.
figuring out where users are dropping off,
Right.
and how to optimize those conversion points.
Uh-huh.
And of course, obsessing over metrics
Yeah.
like conversion rates and customer lifetime value.
You're painting a perfect picture.
Okay.
They're data-driven, analytical, and always looking for ways to move the needle
Right.
on those key growth metrics.
Now, what about platform product managers?
Yeah.
What kind of platform are we talking about here?
Uh-huh.
Like social media platforms,
It could be.
e-commerce platforms?
Could be.
Okay.
It's actually broader than that.
Okay.
A platform product manager works on a foundational technology that supports multiple products or services.
Okay.
Think of it like the underlying operating system that everything else runs on.
So they're not necessarily focused on a specific product that users interact with directly,
Right.
but rather on the infrastructure that powers those products behind the scenes.
Exactly. And their work is incredibly important because the success of those individual products often depends on the scalability and performance of the underlying platform.
So I imagine scalability and performance are top of mind for them.
Absolutely.
They need to make sure that platform can handle a growing number of users and a growing volume of data without crashing and burning.
Exactly. And they need to think about things like security, reliability, and maintainability.
Right.
They're responsible for building a solid foundation that can support the entire product ecosystem.
That sounds like a pretty high-pressure role.
It definitely comes with its challenges.
Yeah.
And then we have FinTech product managers.
Okay.
As you mentioned earlier, that sounds like a particularly hot field right now.
It does seem like everyone's talking about fintech these days.
Yeah.
So what makes a fintech product manager different from, say, a product manager working on a social media app or a productivity tool?
Well, as the name suggests, FinTech PMs deal with financial technology products.
Okay.
Think payment systems, mobile banking apps, investment platforms, even cryptocurrency exchanges.
So they're dealing with people's money, which means security and trust are paramount.
Absolutely. They need to be obsessed with data security, encryption, fraud prevention, all those things that keep users' financial information safe and sound.
Right.
But they also need to strike that balance between security and user experience.
Right.
Nobody wants to use a banking app that's so clunky and difficult to navigate that it makes you want to pull your hair out.
Right. They still need to make it user-friendly and intuitive.
Exactly.
Even with all those complex security measures in place.
Exactly. And there's another layer of complexity for FinTech PMs.
Okay, what's that?
Regulations.
Oh, right.
The financial industry is heavily regulated.
Yeah.
So they need to have a good grasp of those regulations.
Okay.
And make sure their products are compliant.
So they need a unique blend of skills.
Yeah.
A deep understanding of financial services. A passion for technology.
Right.
And a keen eye for detail when it comes to security and compliance.
You nailed it. It's a challenging but incredibly rewarding field, especially with the rapid pace of innovation in the fintech space.
It's fascinating how these specialized roles require a mix of those core product management skills, but with an added layer of expertise in a specific area.
Yeah.
It's like they're taking those core skills and applying them through a different lens. Depending on the industry or the type of product they're working on.
And what's even more fascinating is that product managers often transition between these specializations throughout their careers.
Oh, interesting.
They might start in a more general role, and then as they gain experience and develop expertise in a particular area, they might move into a more specialized role, like growth platform or fintech.
So it's a dynamic field with lots of room for growth and exploration.
Exactly.
They're not necessarily pigeonholed into one specific area.
Right.
You can move around and try different things as your interests evolve.
Yeah.
Now, a bit of detail about the world of the technical product manager.
Okay.
Even providing a breakdown of their core activities.
Since that seems to be where your curiosity is leading you.
It is.
Let's explore those core activities in more depth.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Let's see what the life of a TPM actually looks like.
Okay, so let's unpack what a technical product manager actually does day to day.
Okay.
Some core activities. And the first one is pretty much what you'd expect. Collaborating with engineering teams.
Right.
But I'm guessing it's more nuanced than just shooting off an email or two.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Think of a TPM as the conductor of an orchestra. But instead of musicians, they're leading a team of brilliant engineers. They need to ensure everyone is playing the same tune, hitting those high notes at the right time, all while composing a masterpiece. That's both technically sound and musically pleasing to the user.
So it's about clear communication.
Yes.
Bridging that gap between technical and non-technical folks.
Exactly.
And making sure everyone understands the goals and the constraints.
They translate product requirements into something engineers can actually work with. Ensuring the technical possibilities and constraints are considered from the very beginning. It's like making sure the orchestra has all the right instruments and sheet music before they even start playing.
It's defining the product roadmap
Yes.
with technical feasibility in mind.
Uh-huh.
So they're not just dreaming up cool features. They're thinking about whether those features are actually buildable,
Right.
given the existing technology and resources.
It's like planning a road trip.
Okay.
You might want to drive a fancy sports car. But if you have a dirt road and a limited budget,
Yeah.
a sturdy Jeep is probably a better choice.
Right. More practical choice.
Exactly. A TPM is constantly balancing those long-term architectural decisions
Okay.
with the need to deliver value in a timely manner.
Uh-huh.
They're making sure the team is building the right vehicle for the journey, so to speak.
And speaking of technical details,
Yes.
API and infrastructure planning,
Mm-hmm.
which sounds pretty intimidating to a non-technical person like me.
Sure.
Is this where a TPM really needs to put on their coding hat?
Not necessarily coding,
Okay.
but they do need a deep understanding of how the systems work together
Okay.
for products that are API-driven.
Okay.
Imagine those APIs as the waiters in a restaurant.
Okay.
They take your order, the request,
Okay.
and bring you your food, the response.
Okay.
A TPM needs to make sure those waiters are efficient,
Right.
reliable,
Uh-huh.
and can handle a rush hour crowd without dropping any plates.
So they're thinking about things like integrations,
Yeah.
how different systems talk to each other,
Mm-hmm.
and data pipelines, how information flows through the system.
Exactly.
They're making sure the restaurant runs smoothly
Yes.
and customers get their orders on time.
You got it. And then there's problem solving,
Right.
which, let's be honest, is a big part of any job,
Yeah.
but especially for a TPM.
Right.
They're dealing with complex systems.
Yeah.
And things are bound to break, get overloaded, or just not behave as expected.
Technical debt management,
Yes.
which we touched on earlier.
Uh-huh.
It's that leaky faucet that you keep putting off fixing
Right.
until it becomes a major plumbing disaster.
Exactly.
How does a TPM actually go about prioritizing technical debt
Right.
alongside all those other demands?
It's a constant balancing act,
Okay.
like a gardener tending to a growing plant.
Okay.
They need to prune those overgrown branches, technical debt,
The
keep
cake.
the plant healthy and thriving. They have to weigh the need for new features and delivering value to the business
Right.
against the risks of letting that technical debt accumulate
Right.
and strangle the product's potential.
So they're making those tough calls,
Yeah.
advocating for addressing those underlying technical issues,
Mm-hmm.
and explaining the importance of this to the rest of the team and stakeholders.
They're making sure the garden doesn't get overrun by weeds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And of course, there's the day-to-day problem solving,
Right.
troubleshooting bugs,
Yeah.
addressing performance issues, and putting out those unexpected fires that inevitably pop up.
It's all part of the job.
Okay, last but not least, there's stakeholder management,
Yes.
which seems like a common thread across all these product manager roles.
It's the art of diplomacy.
Right.
A TPM needs to keep everyone happy, the engineers, the designers, the business folks,
Uh-huh.
even those executives who might not be super tech savvy.
Right.
They need to translate those technical details into something everyone can understand and get behind.
So they're the glue that holds everything together,
Yeah.
making sure everyone is aligned on the technical roadmap
Uh-huh.
and the overall product vision.
They're the ones who can speak multiple languages
Right.
and ensure everyone is on the same page working towards a common goal.
Precisely. Now a bit of detail
Yes.
about the world of the technical product manager,
Okay.
even providing a breakdown of what their week looks like.
It does.
Let's explore a week in the life more in depth.
Let's do it. All right, so imagine stepping into the shoes of a TPM and experiencing a typical week.
Okay, take us through it. What does a week in the life of a TPM actually look like?
Monday morning usually starts with a product roadmap review,
Okay.
checking in on sprint progress,
Okay.
identifying any roadblocks, those pesky potholes on our road trip,
Right.
and making sure everyone is on the same page.
Sounds like a good way to set the tone for the week.
Yeah.
Make sure everyone's moving in the right direction.
Yeah.
What about Tuesday?
Tuesday gets more technical. Imagine them putting on their architect's hat
Okay.
and diving into API design discussions,
Okay.
sketching out those blueprints for how the system will work.
Right.
They might also be writing detailed technical requirements for upcoming features,
Okay.
making sure those blueprints are clear and easy to follow.
So they're switching gears between high-level planning
Yeah.
and getting into the weeds of technical implementation.
Right.
It's a good mix of strategic thinking and hands-on problem solving.
You're catching on quickly.
I'm trying.
Wednesday is all about collaboration.
Okay.
They might be meeting with the sales team to address those restaurant complaints from customers.
Okay.
Or syncing up with the design team to discuss how new features will impact those back-end systems.
It's clear that a TPM is constantly interacting with people from all different parts of the organization.
They do.
They're like the social butterflies of the product team.
They need to be comfortable working with a wide range of personalities and communication styles. Then Thursday brings sprint planning with the engineering team,
Okay.
getting everyone aligned on the tasks for the week ahead.
Right.
But, and this is where things get interesting, they might also have to jump into an emergency meeting to troubleshoot a production issue.
Oh, no. So they need to be ready to handle those unexpected fire drills.
Exactly.
It's like that moment when the restaurant's power goes out and everyone starts panicking.
Exactly. And a good TPM can stay calm under pressure,
Okay.
assess the situation quickly,
Right.
and guide the team towards a solution.
So Thursday is a bit of a roller coaster ride. What about Friday? Do things calm down a bit as the week comes to a close?
Not necessarily. Friday might involve reviewing product metrics, analyzing how those new features are performing, and even presenting the technical roadmap to stakeholders, explaining what's been accomplished and what's coming up next.
So the week ends with a mix of analysis, communication, and big picture strategizing. They're making sure everyone is informed, aligned, and ready to tackle the next week's challenges.
And hopefully they can sneak in a little celebration of their accomplishments before the weekend.
Right, exactly. Now, almost hour-by-hour account of a day in the life of a TPM. Want to go even deeper?
Sure, let's do it.
Okay, let's see what a typical day looks like. From that first cup of coffee to that final sigh of relief at the end of the day.
Imagine them starting the day like most of us.
Okay.
Checking emails, catching up on any urgent messages or overnight issues.
Okay.
And reviewing their to-do list, making sure those metaphorical plates are all stacked neatly before the rush begins.
Okay.
Then it's straight into a daily stand-up meeting with the engineering team.
Okay.
A common ritual in many tech companies.
Yeah, I've heard about those stand-up meetings. Is it literally standing up? Do they do calisthenics while discussing code?
Not quite that intense.
Okay.
It's more about keeping things brief and focused. The TPM is listening to updates from the engineers, addressing any roadblocks, clarifying those blueprints, and making sure everyone has what they need to keep the project moving forward.
Then it looks like they have a deep dive meeting focused on API design review.
Yeah.
This is where they really get into the technical details, right?
Exactly. They're reviewing the API documentation.
Okay.
Making sure it meets performance and security standards. And identifying any potential bottlenecks.
Right.
Think of them as a meticulous editor, scrutinizing every line of code to ensure clarity, consistency, and elegance.
So they're working closely with the engineers.
Yes.
Not just dictating what needs to be done, but really collaborating and problem solving together.
Absolutely.
And then in the classic example of context switching.
Yeah.
It's off to a cross-functional meeting with the product and design teams.
Right. Remember, they're the bridge between these different worlds.
Right.
And this is where those communication skills are put to the test.
They need to be able to speak both the language of design and the language of technology.
Yeah. Yes.
Translating those creative visions into technical realities.
Exactly. And helping those designers understand the technical constraints and possibilities.
Right.
So they can create user experiences that are both delightful and feasible.
So morning is a whirlwind of meetings and collaborations. What about the afternoon? Does the pace slow down a bit?
Not quite. After lunch, it's time for a stakeholder meeting.
Oh, okay.
Where the TPM presents the updated product roadmap.
Okay.
They're explaining those architectural decisions, outlining key initiatives, highlighting those metaphorical milestones on our road trip,
Right.
and addressing any concerns.
So they're selling the vision and making sure everyone is on board. But then it seems like things take a dramatic turn.
Right in the middle of that presentation, a production issue pops up.
Oh.
Imagine those red alert lights flashing the metaphorical restaurant kitchen catching fire.
Oh, no.
The TPM has to drop everything and dive into an emergency meeting with the engineering and DevOps teams.
Oh, boy. Those fire drills are never fun. What happens next? Do they grab a fire extinguisher and start coding frantically?
It's all about staying calm and focused.
Okay.
They work quickly alongside the engineers, those skilled firefighters, to diagnose the issue, come up with a temporary fix to contain the blaze, and put a plan in place for a more permanent solution. It's a high-pressure situation.
Yeah.
But in those moments, using their problem-solving skills and technical knowledge to guide the team through the crisis.
Okay. Once the fire's put out and everyone can breathe again, what's left on the agenda for the day?
Well, there's still the next sprint to plan,
Yeah.
reviewing tasks with the engineering team,
right,
making sure everyone has clear instructions and those blueprints are up to date.
Okay.
And finally, as the day winds down, it's time for documentation.
Okay.
A good TPM knows that clear and concise documentation is essential for keeping everyone aligned and preventing future fires.
So they might be updating API documentation,
Yeah.
writing a post-mortem on that production issue,
Yeah.
analyzing what went wrong and how to prevent it from happening again, or just making sure everything is in order for the next day.
It's like cleaning up the restaurant kitchen after a busy night.
Yeah.
Making sure everything is sparkling and ready for the next service.
Right. And then finally, they can close their laptop, take a deep breath, and head home,
Exactly.
knowing they've navigated another day in the exciting, challenging, and ever-changing world of a technical product manager.
Some key takeaways from these day-in-the-life accounts
Okay.
that perfectly capture the essence of being a TPM.
Okay. What are those?
First up, constant context switching.
Okay.
They're constantly moving between deep technical dives and high-level product strategy.
Right.
Like a master chef who can seamlessly switch between chopping vegetables and creating a gourmet menu.
So they need to be comfortable juggling multiple priorities,
Yeah.
shifting gears quickly, and staying organized amidst all the chaos.
Absolutely. Then there's stakeholder management.
All right.
A TPM interacts with a diverse group of people on a daily basis,
Right.
from those meticulous engineers to those free-spirited designers and those results-oriented business folks.
Great. All different personalities.
They need strong communication and negotiation skills to keep everyone happy and moving in the same direction.
It's like being a diplomat, navigating those complex relationships and finding common ground between different perspectives.
Also, problem solving on the fly.
Yeah.
Production issues are bound to happen, those metaphorical kitchen fires.
Right.
And a TPM needs to be able to troubleshoot effectively under pressure,
Yeah.
remaining calm, collected, and decisive.
That takes a certain level of resilience,
Yeah.
resourcefulness,
Yeah.
and a knack for thinking outside the box when the usual solutions don't work.
And finally, they highlight the importance of maintaining that technical focus
Okay.
while never losing sight of the overall product vision. It's like that master chef who remembers that the ultimate goal is to create a delicious and satisfying meal for the customer,
Right.
even while focusing on the technical details of each individual dish.
So even when they're deep in the weeds of API design
Yeah.
or troubleshooting a technical issue, they need to remember how it all ties back to the user and the business goals.
Exactly. It's that blend of technical expertise, collaboration, strategic thinking,
Yeah.
and a genuine passion for creating great products.
Right.
That makes the technical product manager role so unique and challenging.
Well, after this deep dive, I feel like I've gained a whole new appreciation for the work of product managers,
I'm glad.
especially those in technical roles.
Yeah.
It's definitely a career path worth exploring for anyone who enjoys being at the intersection of technology, business, and user experience.
This gives a fantastic overview of the role, the skills, and even the day-to-day realities.
It does.
But as with any field, there's always more to learn. And one thing it doesn't explicitly mention is how the increasing role of AI is impacting product management.
That's a great point. AI seems to be changing everything these days.
Yeah.
How do you see it shaping the responsibilities and skills needed in this field in the coming years?
It's an exciting question to ponder. AI tools could potentially automate some of the more routine tasks,
Okay.
like data analysis and report generation, freeing up product managers to focus on more strategic and creative work.
Okay.
But it also raises new challenges,
Okay.
like how to design and manage products that incorporate AI in a responsible and ethical way.
So it's not just about understanding the technology itself.
Right.
It's about understanding the implications of that technology and how it impacts users and society as a whole.
Exactly. As you continue your exploration of product management,
Yeah.
keep an eye on how AI is changing the game.
Right.
It might just be the next frontier for aspiring product managers,
Okay.
a new chapter in the ever-evolving story of product development.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground today,
We have.
but hopefully this has given you a solid foundation to build upon
Right.
as you continue your journey into the fascinating world of product management,